Matthew Maschler, real estate broker with the Signature Real Estate Finder companies here in the great state of Florida. I'm actually not in Florida right now. I'm in Ireland. And if any of you see me in the studio wearing my England shirt, don't worry about it because this is a podcast. It's mostly an audio medium, so people won't see me in my England shirt broadcasting from Ireland. And today I wanted to say something that's a little bit private. I don't know why I'm going on my podcast to say something private, but I want to give advice to really my employees, but anyone who can make a benefit from this advice. Any agents out there? It's really about follow-up. I was always a salesman. I was brought up a salesman, and one of the things salesmen always have to do is follow up. And I have a pet peeve that annoys me. If a salesman, if it's an employee, right? If I tell an employee to call somebody back, um, or if you're a salesman and you're supposed to call a lead, a lot of people think if you call and leave a message, that counts. If I tell an employee to call somebody back, I expect that employee to call that person back. If I tell a salesman, I give a salesman a lead, I expect that salesman to work that lead and get a hold of that person. And a couple of days later, or a week later, or a month later, if I ask what happened, and the person says, well, I called them and I left a message. My reaction is, that's it? You called them and left a message? You need to do more. Simply calling someone and leaving a message, simply emailing someone does not negate the fact that it is your responsibility to get a hold of the other person. If you call another agent and want to see one of their listings, if you call a mortgage broker and ask them a question, just leaving a message or just having that first conversation doesn't mean you can cross this item off off your list. When you call someone or email someone, it is your responsibility to follow up with that person. So when you email someone, when you call someone, leave a message for someone, it's your responsibility to follow up. And I created something internally that nobody knows about, called the 424 rule. And what that means is you choose an amount of time after you send that email, after you leave that message. You choose an amount of time that you're going to give that person to respond to you before you follow up. And 4 represents 4 hours, 24 represents 24 hours. You don't only have to choose those times. You can choose any amount of time. I'm going to follow up in 10 minutes. I'm going to follow up in an hour. I'm going to follow up in a week. I'm going to follow up in a month. But don't tell me, oh, I called and I left a message. When was that? 3 years ago, 3 months ago. You have to be following up. So after you leave that message, after you make that phone call, choose an amount of time, whether it's 4 hours or 24 hours or another amount of time that you think is appropriate. 4 and 24 is just a suggestion, right? If it's 10 o'clock, you follow up at 2 o'clock, right? 4 hours later, give the person the time to respond to you. Then certainly may not respond to you within minutes, or the next day, right? That's what the 24 represents. 4 is later that day. 24 hours is the next day. So you choose an amount of time. It doesn't have to be later that day or the next day. Could be a week, could be a month. And then follow up with that person. Hey, I never heard from you. Hey, I don't know if you got my message. So that's the 4 and 24 rule that I expect my employees to observe, that I suggest that my real estate agents observe when they call somebody. They should know in their mind when they're going to follow up if they don't hear. If you're a real estate agent and you show a house, it's a $3 million house, and you submit an offer, right? And you represent the buyer. Dear Mr. Seller's agent, my name is Matthew. I represent the buyer. We saw your house. My buyer is very interested. Attached, please find an offer from them. Here's a pre-approval. Call me with any questions. If you submit that on Tuesday at 2 o'clock p.m., right? Don't do nothing. If you don't hear a response that day, the next day, the day after, over the weekend, follow up. You can't send an email like that, and that important of an email, and not follow up. I would follow up. I would follow up with an immediate text. Hi, I just sent you an offer, and then a couple minutes later, maybe a phone call. Got And then an hour later, or 2 hours later, 3 hours later, if you didn't hear from the agent that they at least received the text, yes, hi, I got your offer. I can't review it right now. I'm showing, or I'm at lunch, or I'm getting my nails done. At least you know that the offer was received, but then you choose an amount of time that you're going to follow up if you don't hear from them, right? The next day, hi, I know you received my offer. Is there any feedback from it? So you can't just submit and make a phone call, send an email, and cross that item off of your list. It is incumbent upon you to follow up. It is not a hot potato. It's not incumbent on the person that you left the message for to call back or to respond. It is on you to follow up. That is the 424 rule. And I believe that if you can respect that, if you can master that, you will be a much more successful person in life, much more successful real estate agent, much more responsible person. Should always be doing that. It's weak to call someone or leave a message or send an email and say, I did my job. Now it is on them to contact me. It is on them to respond and not follow up. So one of the things I do, I record these, I make these podcasts that I hope that at least my employees and my agents are listening to. I hope you took something from this advice. I'm not calling anyone specific out. This has just been on my mind for a while. This is, I expect, and I assume that the people around me know it. So I just want to remind them, and I want them to hear it again, hear it from me, so that way they can accomplish what they need to accomplish to be successful at life. All right. So I know it's a short podcast, but it's just me. I'm traveling around Ireland. If you want to hear more about my trip or why I'm going, check out the Matthew Mania podcast. I will talk more about my personal life and my personal trips and my personal concerts there. So thank you for joining me on the Real Estate Finder podcast. Matthew Maschler, the Real Estate Finder. It's one of the reasons I think I'm better at my job than most of the others is because I follow up. And you will impress your clients, you will impress your boss, you will impress the people in your life if you are following up and you are closing deals and getting stuff done. So thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, please email me, sales@realestatefinder.com. If you have any suggestions on how I can make the 424 rule better or things that you do in your life to make sure that you are following up, I would love to hear them.
The future looks bright and the storms pass by. The sky's dark blue and it's almost that time. Light shows, cameras flash when I pass. Living in the moment, forget about the past. They save the best for last. Matthew Mania, we bout to make a splash. Life is a marathon full of sharp turns. Gotta keep pace while the hands on the clock turns. High stakes, 5-star real estate. I run a show, you can tell the boss in the place. Electricity, energy, it vibrates. I'm always on time even if I'm late. I make dreams come true, living my life, hope the same for you. Success in my sights, got a real clear view. If you don't know the time, I'll give you a clue. You know what time, you know what time, you know what time it is. Yeah. You know what time, you know what time, you know what time it is. You know what time, you know what time, you know what time it is. You know what time, you know what time, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know whose time it is. You know what time it is. Matthew Mania, the time is his. You know what time it is. You know whose time it is.